Incredible. All right. God, that's gonna look. You know how bad that's one. All praise to the Most High, you guys. Deacon ended when he left the stream. He accidentally ended the stream because he's used to having his own shows where he leaves the stream and then hits end. So, apologies for that. Let's get Ratazan back on here. Now I already know. Now let me just say it for the people that you were getting cut, so you ended the stream. Listen, it looks bad, doesn't it? It looks bad. It doesn't look good. Only thing I can tell you is there was no cutting at all going on involved. So all praise to the Most High. We're back. Make sure y'all like and share the video one more time. Damn, bro, I can't not believe that just happened. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to it. Ratazan, if you there, then let me know. I'm about to go back on my channel and put in the actual YouTube the whatchamacallit, the live. Hold on one second. Let me put the StreamYard back in here. Let me put the StreamYard link back in here. Hold on, everybody. Okay, so there is, wherever Ratazan is at, you can, there it goes. So Ratazan, whenever you get back in here, put it on here. All right. Yeah, my bad, everybody. Yo, it's bad audio in the background. I can't, it's horrible, like really bad. Ooh, yeah, I got it. It sounds like somebody's, Ariel, if you can hear me, it sounds like somebody's scratching chalk. So wherever if somebody has Ratazan's info, can shoot him the link. We can get him on here. All right. Wherever Ratazan is at, let's try to get that brother back on here. Yeah, that's hilarious. But no, listen, I'm glad we got to have that build because now I lay my position on the table. Pause, if that's a pause-worthy moment. And he gets to do the same with his. And guess what? You get to make your own decision. Brothers, stop bearing false witness. I don't know if that's, are you, let me not shoot early because I'll be quick to shoot. Who are you talking about? So wherever Ratazan is at, Ratazan, if you hear, do I have Ratazan's number? I had one last thing for Ratazan, and then we can get up out of here. That verse made priest jump in. I don't know what the false witness would be, but no, that was a good build. At least we got about an hour, I think, in like 30 something minutes worth of a build. So there goes the link. It should be pinned in the chat. Okay, all right. I was just making sure you're not shooting at me because I'll shoot back. So wherever the brother Ratazan is at, let's wait for that brother to get on here. I had one more chapter that I wanted to go into, and then we can go after that. Okay, somebody, in the meantime, I'll answer some questions. What about 3 days, 3 nights in the grave? Do you believe he was in the grave? Okay, well, I think I know what you're saying, but let me, in case I'm wrong, I'll answer what is written. So what about 3 days and 3 nights in the grave? Do you believe he was in the grave? Yes, he was in the grave. Do I believe that Christ was in the grave for literally 3 days and literally 3 nights? I do not. Now, someone might ask, oh, so you disagree with the Bible? That's what someone naturally will respond with. Okay, Ratazan said his phone is hot. Okay, so we'll wait for Ratazan's phone to cool down, and then we'll get him back in here. So what do I mean by that? I don't agree that it was literally 3 days and 3 nights. Well, first, let's get the verse in Matthew 12, I think, where Christ says that. And I believe this is the only time where he says it. So let me get this in Matthew chapter, right, Deacon? Matthew 12. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now, here's the issue. Someone's going to say, yeah, 3 days, 3 nights means literally 3 days and 3 nights. This is what Yeshaya says, which, matter of fact, here's what can happen. Yeshaya, there's a link in the chat. Let's talk live, and you cannot say that I'm going to disrespect you. I just had an almost 2-hour, very respectful dialogue with Ratazan, and we can have a discussion as to what 3 days and 3 nights means. So, does Christ say verbatim, that as Jonah was in the whale's belly, that he will be 3 days and 3 nights in the earth? He does say that. Here's the issue, though. Not only does Christ say that, but he also says something like this. In Mark 8:31, it says he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things. He'll rise again in 3 days. Sorry, Mark 14 and verse 58. Look at this. And we heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. So wait a minute. What's after 3 days and 3 nights, everybody? The fourth day. But Christ right here says within 3 days. After 3 days and 3 nights is not within 3 days. In Acts chapter 15, I think it's Acts 10 and 40. Is it Acts 10 and 40? I could be wrong. Yep, it is. Acts 10 and 40. And him, Jesus, God raised up the third day. 1 Corinthians 15 says, verse 4, and that he was buried and that he rose again the third day. Was that Matthew 17 and 21? I think says the exact same thing. Nope, it's not even close. What does it say? The third day. Even if I can't find this, I mean, the point has been proven. Let me see. Where is this at? Here we go. Luke 24 and 46. This will work. And said unto them, thus it is written, and thus it behooved Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day. Luke 18 and 33. And they shall scourge him and put him to death the third day. Luke 9, and he will be raised the third day. Mark 10, they shall kill him, and the third. You guys get the point, right? So, we got Ratchazan on here. Ratchazan, if you're listening, I'm going to get you on here. I'm going to just answer this question really quick. So, after 3 days and 3 nights, again, is the fourth day. So, it's not literally 3 days and literally 3 nights. Even with the notion of Christ dying on Friday, think about this. Matthew 28 and 1, I'll read it, says this. Matthew 28, you guys are probably like, shut up, so we don't care about that nigga's question. We want to get back to the discussion. I got you. Matthew 28 and 1 says, in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. Brothers that believe in the Friday night to Saturday night Sabbath believe that Christ died on the Friday. Friday during the day, he's dead. Friday night, he's dead. Saturday day, he's dead. Saturday night, he's dead. Right? Sunday, according to this would be Sunday. Somebody said he didn't die on Friday. Well, no one else agrees with you. So, sorry. In the end of the Sabbath, no one else from your community agrees with you, and the community of the Friday night to Saturday night Sabbath keepers. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, that would be, according to them, the end of the Sabbath would be Sunday, as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week. That would be Sunday morning. So that would be 3 days and 2 nights. Even with us, he dies the 14th. He's dead on the 14th, day and night. He's dead on the 15th, day and night. He's dead on the 16th, which would be the first day of the week, for part of the day, and then rises. So it's 3 days and 2 nights. 3 days and 3 nights is a Hebrew idiom, which I've gone into debate and I showed. But for a quick example, in Esther 4, Esther tells these people to fast for 3 days and 3 nights. Then in the very next chapter, it says, then on the third day. Well, again, after 3 days and 3 nights, would be the fourth day. T. Miles says, y'all got a lot of blood on your hands convincing people to sin Friday night to Saturday night sundown. T. Miles, you're more than welcome to come on here and click the link, but I don't think you will, because like the Bible says, despite your age, it says older men are not always wise. You're an example of an old man and an old fool, and that's why you believe what you believe, and it is what it is. So all praise to the Most High. Let's get our brother Ratazan back here. All right. Mic check. Mic check. He's freezing. Okay. If you speak real quick so I can just mic check. The audio is
Hold on one
out.
second.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Bad connection. Let's see.
All right, we'll wait for the brother's connection to get back right sturdy. Let's wait for our brother Ariel's in the back chat. I see you, King. So we're gonna get you on here in a second. All right. So we're gonna matter of fact, Ratazan, I'm gonna send you down and then we'll get you on in a second. Also to Ariala, I'm gonna deal with Ratazan, just finish this little one-on-one, then I can get you on here. Deacon said, look at Antonio's comment. First day, night day, second day, night day, third day, night day. Do you not count it? Okay. Let me not be disrespectful and rude and stuff like that. Matthew 28:1 says, in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn. Brother, dawn means sunrise. The end of the Sabbath as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. You believe the first day of the week. Did you forget what you believe in, brother? The first day of the week is Sunday to you. Do you not understand that? That means it's Sunday morning. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to the sepulcher and there was a stone rolled back, meaning Christ rose Sunday morning, according to even your own logic. Friday during the day, he's dead. Friday during the night, he's dead. That's one day, one night. Saturday, he's dead both day and night. Sunday during the day, he's dead. And at some point during the morning, the day, he rises. That's 3 days, 2 nights. Now, I'm going to say something that might be disrespectful. If you cannot understand that, you are not smart. You're far from smart. I'm not even going to say you're stupid. You're just really far from smart. If smart is New York City, you're somewhere in Thailand or something like that. That's why I got to put it to you. And maybe that's even above your head. Very simple. It's 3 days and 2 nights because 3 days and 3 nights is not literal. All right. Let's try to get a mic check. Go ahead.
Yo, can you hear me?
Much better now. Okay. I don't know exactly where we left.
My bad.
Yeah.
I think we left off on us understanding when a day begins, and I think that's where the disagreement is coming at. But again, I mean, the point was kind of redundant, but I think you understand my point. I understand your point. We just don't agree. So I know you said, well, I did want to ask you a question. I know you said you had another question. I don't know if that was the question, but I did want to ask you a question.
I have one other question, if that's all right.
And then can I ask you one? And then I got to get going after I ask you one question.
Okay. I think Ariala, cool? I guess, is it cool if Ariala asks one question at the end? Because he's been waiting for a while. So I'll ask one question. You'll ask one question. If you don't have time, it's fine. Yeah,
because I'm driving to the Bay. I'm driving to the Bay Area right now. I just want to get on with you. We've been on for an hour. So I just really wanted to ask you one question, and then I got to get out of here. It's going to be simple.
Okay. So I'll make mine quick then too. So based on the discussion we had yesterday, I'm trying to again understand. We agree that Christ died on Passover, correct?
Yeah.
And you believe that Passover is the Sabbath?
Yes.
So in Mark 15:37, it says, and Jesus cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. This is on the Passover and Sabbath, right?
Yes.
Verse 38, and the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. It's still Passover and Sabbath.
Were you Mark 15 and what?
Now we're at verse 39. But just establishing that this is the Passover still, and according to you, the Sabbath.
Yes.
Okay. So verse 39, and when the centurion which stood over against him saw that he so cried out, he gave up the ghost, and he said, truly, this man was the Son of God. Still is Passover and the Sabbath, correct?
Yeah, he died on the Passover, yes.
Okay. I'm trying not to be redundant, but I'm gonna, just so I can get your understanding, I'm gonna continue line by line.
But real quick, the Sabbath, okay, we got 2 different perspectives. So the Passover would be a Shabbaton, right? The Passover would be a Shabbat. It wouldn't be a 7-day cycle to my perspective. It'll be a Shabbaton in the Hebrew, which is different than the weekly Sabbath, which is a Shabbat.
Right, but this
so
is
yes,
Friday.
It is a Sabbath. Yes, it is a Sabbath, but it is not the Shabbat. It is a Shabbaton.
Here's the problem with that.
Clear that up.
It has to be the weekly Sabbath because you believe that he died on Friday night.
No. I believe he died in the midst of the week.
Oh, you believe he died Wednesday?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, nonetheless, we'll continue. Going down to verse, so I'll just kind of skip to the point, and that kind of saves time. In verse 43, it says, 46, that Joseph of Arimathea bought fine linen. So you say this is the Sabbaton. You agree then that Joseph of Arimathea bought fine linen on the Sabbaton?
Well, see, and this is what I'm saying. You're saying bought as in he bought it, and it could mean he had it and bought fine linen, which means I bought it with me because he had fine linen. See, that's an understanding thing. I don't think he broke the Sabbath though, for sure
Okay,
not.
right. So in the text, let's just read it again. So I'm going to make sure that I understand and the audience
Because it says,
understands.
look, real quick, it says, and he brought fine linen and took him down and wrapped him in the linen.
Right. It
So
doesn't say brought. Like
from my
it doesn't say,
perspective,
right, real quick, right, it doesn't say just because the audience. It doesn't say brought. It says bought. BOUGHT.
mhm,
Bought.
got you.
He
Go
bought.
ahead.
And what does it mean then, Radazan, when it says and? Why would it say and he bought fine linen? What's the point of saying and right there?
Again, I think he bought the fine linen, but he had it. He could have had it in his possession already. The
So
same
why?
the same way. Watch this. This real quick. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
The same way. I know he didn't break the Sabbath, but the same way that you insert that the Lord gave us a random rest day in the middle or on the ninth day to help us with the fast. I'm telling you that he could have had this in his possession already. This could have
So,
already been in his possession.
so let me make sure I
Like,
understand. So you're interpreting this text by imposing your own preconceived ideas, opinions, or biases into it rather than allowing the text to speak for itself?
just like you did.
Oh,
Absolutely.
so
Well,
you are. Okay. No, wait a minute. That's fine. So you admit that you did. That's all right.
yeah, because look, let's read up real quick, right?
Okay.
Because it says, and Pilate marveled real quick. It says, and Pilate marveled. If well, no. Actually, I stand corrected. I had to read. I stand corrected. My apologies. My apologies. This was actually after the actual Passover. Remember, he died on Passover. So Passover was already passed. So this is not the same day. This is the actual next day, which is going into the 15th day.
Here's
Going
the
into the 16th. The 16th. I'm sorry. The 16th. I'm sorry.
okay.
So
So
he
wait.
died on the 14th that eve. So real quick, he died. I had to read up. I'm sorry, Salakia. I misspoke. I had to read up. He died on the 14th that evening, which is the 15th to my perspective. Once he died, that was a whole process day. He died in the morning time, like around 3 o'clock, right? And then after that ceremony and the whole situation took place, it was the next day, and then he came and brought the linen and wrapped Christ's body, and then the following Sabbath pursued, and then they rested to the following Sabbath. So this is actually after the Passover. This is after the first day of Passover.
Brother, in verse 37, this is Passover, right? When Jesus dies, when he gave up the ghost.
Yes, he gave up the ghost. Yes.
Okay. So verse 38, and the veil of the temple was rent in twain, still Passover.
Yes, he died on Passover. Yes.
Okay. And when the centurion which stood over against him saw that he so cried
Right.
out, that's
Right.
still Passover.
Look at verse 42. Look at
Turning
verse.
it
So we
now when the
real
even
quick.
was right, right.
Real quick. So in verse 42 tells you that's the transition of another day. That proves my point. That's why I had to read up. Real quick, real quick.
I read verse
Verse
42 because it
42.
was kind of going to my point.
Listen. Verse 42. This is verse 42. Just so we can have clarity. Verse 42, from your perspective, will be the start of your Sabbath.
No,
Listen, let me say this.
no,
Verse 42, real quick, so you can understand my
okay.
perspective, because I understand your perspective.
You
Your
don't, bro.
perspective is that Passover. Look, listen. Your perspective is that Passover is not a Sabbath, right? My perspective is that Passover is a Sabbath. Your perspective is that the next day was actually the Sabbath. That's your perspective. It is a 7-day Sabbath on the 15th. He's already dead on the Passover, which is not a Sabbath. And then this actually will cut you because you are saying at your admission that they broke the Sabbath the
No.
same way because they brought now listen, let me
Yeah,
say
go
this in
ahead.
verse 42. Listen. In verse 42 it says, and now when the even was come,
Yep.
because it was the preparation that is the day before the Sabbath. So I understand the preparation day is bringing in, but comes before the 7-day weekly cycle. Passover is already, Christ is already dead. He he's dead. Evening comes, they come and get his body, and now they're buying the fine linen because it's not a Passover on the 15th day. On the 15th day in terms of the 6th going into the 16th. But go
Okay.
ahead, you got it.
There's a big issue with that. And I'm going to read it just from this account in Mark chapter 15. But even in the account that you guys mentioned the other day, I think it's in Luke, and I know that you are limited on time, so I will try to find this as quickly as I can. I know it's in Luke.
Yeah. I got to get going.
Okay. If I can't find it in the next 10 seconds, then I think I found it. All praise to the Most High. Luke 23 and in that day. Okay, perfect. All right. So in Luke's account, he gives a similar account. And it says, verse 50, and behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and just. Same thing. The same had not consented to the counsel and deed of them. Let's get to the point. This man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. This is the same day Christ died, correct?
I don't. It doesn't say this is the same day he died. Luke 23. Where you at? 23 and what?
I was at 52, but just for some context, look in verse 44. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over all the earth. Then verse 46. And Jesus cried with a loud voice, and into my Father, into my hands, into your hands I commend my spirit.
And he died. Yes.
That's Passover, right?
Yes, when he died, right? Remember, the account in John said at even. Remember, the account in John said at even, right? So that day would be completely over with.
No, look, here's how we know. When it says at evening, meaning evening is coming. And how we know that is, well, just there, it tells you. But even if you disagree with that, look what it says in verse 54. And that day, the day that Christ died, was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on, meaning another day had not come yet, but it was approaching. That's what it means.
What verse you at?
Verse 55, was that 4? So in verse 54, it says, and the evening was coming and the Sabbath drew on. Mark's account says
in Luke 23.
I'm sorry?
In Luke 23?
Yes, sir. Verse 54.
Uh-huh.
And that day was the preparation and the Sabbath drew on. So when it says in Mark's account, and that day was the evening, that is the day before the Sabbath, it's saying the evening for the next day was coming, but that day, specifically that Christ died, was the preparation. And the Sabbath was getting ready.
He was already, no. See, we're looking at it different. He was already dead. Verse 52 says, this man went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. So Christ was already dead. We understand the account in John says it was evening. Christ was already dead before that evening came. That's how I look at it, King.
That's the point, though, Ratazan. He dies before the evening, but right before the evening. That's why it says again, and that day was verse 52. The man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. Because the Sabbath is about to, he's trying to hurry up and get Christ's body down and buy nice clothes to wrap Christ's body in, because he can't later. But exactly before the Sabbath. But you believe Passover is the Sabbath. So here's 2 points. Why would the Bible call the Sabbath the day before the Sabbath? One, but before you answer that question, how is it, if you believe that it's the Sabbath, is Joseph of Arimathea on the same day Jesus dies buying fine linen to wrap Christ's body in?
No. Okay, so look, I believe he died. It was a process of time. So when you go to Daniel chapter 9, listen, when you go to Daniel chapter 9, let me just get it. I'm going to answer you cleanly real quick, because I understand the disconnect. And once I answer you cleanly, I just want to be able to ask you one question, and then we can do this again if you want. So this is Daniel real quick. So you're familiar with Daniel chapter 9, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you might look at it different. Of course you do. But this is my understanding of Daniel chapter 9. So, Salakia, Daniel chapter 9, excuse me. So Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27, it says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, right? So let's read verse 26 for the context. And after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifices and oblations to cease. And for the overspreading of abomination, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation that are determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So my understanding is that the Most High sends his son, Yahweh Shai, dies for us. In Luke chapter 21, he says, once he gives up the ghost, or once he's betrayed, then the end will be like a flood. So directly after Christ's death, it says the oblation shall cease. We're at a period where we're not sacrificing anymore. The point is that his death will take place and the covenant will be confirmed in the midst of the week. So now that will be a Wednesday. So my understanding is that the Passover will come in on a Wednesday. to my understanding, which would be the 14th at even, which would be the 15th day to my understanding. So when you count 3 days from Wednesday, you get an end of 3 days, and that's from the beginning of him being betrayed, right? From the start of Passover, him eating the supper, from him getting betrayed, for him getting beat, whipped, the whole nine, from him getting the ghost. That all took place within a span, and from him getting buried in the whole nine. So I heard Deacon say this. He wasn't. It was a process of time of him getting killed and put in the grave, and then 3 days from Wednesday counting to Friday evening, which is the first day of the week, which he was already gone and he rose. So Wednesday, Thursday, and then you get from evening to evening, and then when you go into Friday, right? He rested, and then that evening he was already gone early in the morning on that Sabbath or on that Saturday evening. Okay, and he rose. So that's my understanding on that. I don't view the 15th as a Sabbath. For an example, let me ask you this question: with Joseph of Arimathea, would he on your Sabbath of rest day, right, break the Sabbath to go buy linen on your 15th day, right? Because remember, your Passover started before. So you
Right.
would admit that he bought the linen on your feast 7-day Sabbath.
Nope. So here's how simple it is. Passover's on the 14th day at evening,
Baby, go in
right?
your room,
So
baby.
Christ both died on the Passover and ate the Passover. So when he dies, it is the 14th day, still the day before the Sabbath is what the Bible calls it, which is why the 15th,
He
which is the
died.
first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, is the Sabbath. Now, I didn't want to turn this into a Daniel 9 debate, but I simply cannot ignore what you just
Can I
said.
just ask you one question though, real quick? Can I just ask you one question? Because I do got to get going. But I
Okay.
want to ask you this one question. I want to be able to ask you a question.
All right.
Is it possible? I know you
Yes.
said one more. So real quick, we both agree to disagree. We agree to disagree. I believe he died in the midst of the week, and then from there he rose early on the first day, and you don't believe that. But let me just
I don't agree
say
that
that
your
clean.
understanding of Daniel 9, the midst of the week means Wednesday.
No,
That's
no, I know. Remember, I told you I know you guys don't agree with that, but that's going to
right.
open a whole nother can of worms
Okay.
for us both. All I'm asking you to do is we agree to disagree. I just want to ask you one simple question because I don't think it was answered cleanly in the debate.
Okay. Go ahead.
Is that cool? Okay. So it's dealing with First Samuel.
Okay.
So in First Samuel 20, because Deacon had said a comment, and I asked him. I said in First Samuel 20, or let
Yep.
me just ask you, in First Samuel chapter 20, when do you begin your count from the time of new moon to David ate the showbread?
There's two separate
When do
instances
you
of
begin?
3 days. So when David
Okay,
actually
I
goes
got
to the
that.
priest, he says, it's been 3 days since I was hiding. He hides for 3 days. Then he goes to the priest after an additional 3 days.
Uh-huh. And new moon is a part of those 3 days, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So if new moon is a part of those 3 days, you got new moon day one, right? You
Mhm.
have day two after new moon. You have day three, which from our perspective, it was the next day or the following after that day three he came out of hiding. The Sabbath happens directly after that. But you guys say no, you got to add an extra 3 days. So let's just go ahead and add an extra 3 days. So you got new moon day one, you're counting it. New moon day, I mean after two, day three, David comes out of hiding. 4, 5, 6. That's an extra 3 days. And then you get the 7-day Sabbath. The problem is that's not the eighth day. That's the seventh day of the month.
It doesn't say it's a Sabbath though in Samuel. It doesn't say it's a Sabbath when he goes to the priest. And what you're doing is convoluting what Christ said in Matthew 12 with what's going on in First Samuel 20. What is going on in Matthew 12, and I'll just briefly touch on it. In Matthew
We
12,
did not, real quick, we did not in the debate say 3 + 3. All we said was that's the definition of a straw man. I don't even know why his side is even entertaining that. We did not in the debate say he was hiding for 3 and then he came out for 3. That's not what we said. Did we say that in the debate, Rata?
Broke up.
Did we say in the debate that he was hiding for 3 days and he came out for 3 days?
We were arguing the point that it had to be an additional 3 days from my understanding in that debate. Now, if you're saying, watch
That's not
this.
what we
If you're
argued at
saying
all,
you
King.
didn't, listen.
That's not what we
If
argued
you're
at
saying
all.
so let me ask you a question, priest. Are you changing? Because I've heard y'all teach this before. So you're changing your stance that it's no longer doesn't matter if it was 3 days or 6 days. Now it's not a Sabbath. Because I've heard you
No, no.
teach this before, and you said that it was an extra 3 days. So now you're changing your stance.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. What happened in the debate was we did not argue 3 plus 3. All we simply said was he ate some bread that had been removed in the past tense. That's what we argued. That's what we introduced. Anything else
Got
is
you.
null and void. Anything else is irrelevant because it wasn't introduced in a debate.
So let me ask you a question, priest, real quick. Because this is not the debate. This is just a discussion among brothers.
Yeah.
Did you guys change your perspective? Because I've heard you and the good Alazar and Hassad both teach this, and all I'm asking is for clarity. Did
Yeah,
you
for
change
sure.
your stance? Okay, that's all I'm asking. So if
But
you
let me
change,
explain.
so if
Let me explain though. Let me
no, no,
explain.
let me land. If you change your, I'm gonna let you explain. Because I hold on. If you change your stance, so now we will have to go into the scriptures to prove when the showbread is cooked or not cooked. But I digress. Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. Well, when you look into King James, it does say since it's been 3 days since, and then he's been hiding for 3 days. But when you look in the Hebrew and other translations, it does not reflect that. So that's why I don't understand it in that way anymore. Now, what I did say on the debate, and you can go look at it, everything in the Hebrew is past tense. It doesn't say that day, it says the day. So that's why, we look at it like that. And I believe it to be 100% true.
So real quick, I think you said in the debate, because I asked you a question, and this was actually my follow-up question to that was the 3 day count, but you don't believe it's a Sabbath anymore. But I asked you a question: did Samuel recognize new moon as day one?
Um Well, did we read it and break it down? Because I believe my
Well, you
answer was,
said
and my answer was it's going to stay the same. That no, Samuel did not look at the new moon as a part of the week as far as a working day, because that would go against even your understanding, as Amos 8:5 says the new moon is not a working day. That was my answer, and that stays the same.
okay, but First Samuel says new moon is new moon day one though.
Of what
New
the month?
moon, new moon is a day. It's the renewal day, and then after that, your guys' calendar that you pulled up actually reflects that, but you guys were reading it wrong. You had the days circled that were not working days. Anything that was not circled in the
According to
calendar you
you,
guys
right?
had, yeah.
Okay, because
Anything in the
according
calendar
to
that was,
us, go ahead. I'm sorry.
go
I
ahead, go
keep
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no. Yeah. So this is my point. So now I think since your understanding has changed, which that was my point, the understanding just keeps changing and transforming. But since it changed and transformed again,
You
now we will
said
have
keep
to see.
changing. How many times did it
Yeah,
change?
it keeps
You said
changing.
keeps
It for sure
changing. You
keeps
said keeps
changing.
changing. How many times did it change?
Well, remember, me and you had a private conversation, and what we were actually saying on that private conversation was a little bit different. For instance, I asked Hassad. Well, I don't. Can I expose that conversation, or
I don't know what conversation you're
Yeah, you
talking
I don't
about.
said
want to expose that conversation. Me and you
Yeah,
had
I
a
don't know what
conversation, and then we asked a question about Luke, and Hassad didn't know that scripture in Luke where it keeps Passover and unleavened bread simultaneously. And you guys said that y'all have to look into it and get back to me.
No,
So,
no, 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 no,
but
no,
wait,
no, no, no,
but wait,
no,
let
no,
me,
no.
let me,
We've been
but
known.
priest, wait,
We've been
no,
known that
that's not
we've
true.
been known that it was grouped up. You may have brought out a scripture that showed, hey, look, it's grouped up here, but we've been known it's grouped up for decades. So
Truthfully,
I don't
Hassad
understand
says,
why you're
show me a
saying
scripture. Wait, truthfully, Hassad says, show me a scripture that Passover and unleavened bread is grouped up. It took me a minute to find it, and I found it in Luke 22. And then Hassad's words to me, and I have the text messages that, hey, I'm waiting for y'all to get back to me on that Luke
Rata,
22.
Rata, let's say that's true. We agree with that, whether you found it in Luke or not. We've been admitted that the Jews group up certain feast days. So I don't understand your
Okay,
point.
and me and Hassad talked about it. But real quick, so you're now saying that in Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 21, and I'll read it real quick. Verse 3. So just for a clarification, it says, now therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread. So what's this common bread?
Common bread is just regular bread.
Okay. He said, so that's regular bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread. And we know the hollow bread is sanctified bread. If the young
Right.
men have kept themselves at least from women, and David answered the priest and said unto him, of truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessel of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the bread was sanctified that day in the vessel. What day was that?
Okay,
Because
my
it's in
screen is
verse
shared.
6.
My
It
screen is
says,
shared.
so
My
the
screen is shared. My screen is shared. Did it say
verse
the
6.
bread? Did it say the bread was baked that day? Yes or no?
It didn't use the word baked, no, but it says that they only had the hollow bread. Let's read it. It says,
Right.
and the priest answered David and said, there is no common bread. So, meaning they didn't have common bread, meaning there
Watch
was no
this.
bread that wasn't sanctified. Real quick, hold
I'm
on.
with you. I'm with you.
So,
I'm with you there.
we can
How
read
long
the
does the
right, we
bread
can
stay
read
out?
this.
How long does the bread stay out?
It will be baked that whole day for the Sabbath, according to the shoe bread law.
How no, the
It's
bread
baked
stays
on that
out for
day.
the whole Ratazan. How long does the bread stay out before the Lord? How many days?
Let's get that scripture in Leviticus.
Leviticus
Hold on.
24. It stays out for the whole week, bro. Then they change it out the next Sabbath.
Right,
So you can't say
right.
just because it was out, it was the Sabbath.
Right. But what I can do is now we got to go to Christ's account and see what Christ's account is speaking about. And that's what
Okay.
we did. And
All right.
what and
We
in
did
Christ's
that too. We
account,
did that
his
too. We did that too.
his account, his account. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. His account is that the comment or on the Sabbath, David was doing something on the Sabbath, and he was giving an example of that. And we see
Okay,
one of those
show
things
me
was
in
he
Matthew
ate the
12.
shewbread.
Show me in Matthew 12 where Christ says, and
Let me
when
pull it
David did
up.
that, it's the Sabbath. Yeah, show me. Show me in Matthew 12. I
No,
got
no,
it
no.
pulled up right here on the screen.
Listen,
Show me him saying, hold
listen.
on, let me tell you.
I'm about to pull it up.
Show me him saying, when David did that, it was the Sabbath. The floor is yours. We want to see that verbatim.
Got you. Got you. Hold on one second. Matthew, hold on. You at 12?
Yep.
Hold on. And let's read okay. Can we read let me see. God and comprised book blood universe. Excuse David in winter. Hold on.
You know what else keeps changing? 6 plus 5 and
Hold
7
on.
plus
Let me
15
see.
and 15 plus 6 and the
All right,
14
let's read. So look, let's read
and
it real
even
quick. Let's
changing.
read it. Right. Let's read it in Matthew 12 in the MSG, right? So it says Matthew 12 and 3. Let's see what it says, right? It says Jesus said, really, don't you ever read when what David and his companions did when they were hungry, how they entered the sanctuary and ate fresh bread off the altar? So the bread was fresh, bread that no one but the priests were allowed to eat. And didn't you ever read in your law that the priests carried out in their temples the duties, break the Sabbath rule all the day? So he's saying that in the MSG translation that this was fresh bread off the altar. This was not a bread off a 7 day, 6 days from. This was fresh bread off the altar. So yes, my argument still stands that this was fresh bread cooked on the
I
Sabbath.
asked you a question. Can you did Christ say that it was the Sabbath there? Yes or no?
You said what? You broke up.
Did Christ say it was a Sabbath there in Matthew 12 verbatim? Yes or
Yes
no?
or no?
He didn't say it. What he mentions the Sabbath, but what he mentions is in Matthew chapter 12, verse 3, he says that they ate fresh bread off the altar. So if the
Yeah,
bread is fresh, real quick? What does fresh bread mean?
Does it say this?
Wait,
So it
I'm
has to be.
asking you a question.
No, I asked you to
What
go
does
here. I gave you the
no no
space to
no? I
go
am.
here and show
I'm doing
me.
this.
No, you
Deep.
didn't. I said,
Listen,
show
listen.
me
Deep,
Jesus
deep,
Christ
deep.
saying, that,
Deep. It
Rata,
doesn't say
this is
verbatim that this.
okay.
Listen, deep.
After you
Listen,
answer that,
listen,
then I'll let you
listen,
expound. Does Jesus
listen.
Christ say that it was the Sabbath when David did this? Yes or no?
He's talking about the Sabbath. He doesn't directly say it was the Sabbath.
Can you
He
just
does
say
not.
yes or no,
Let me say
sir?
it cleanly. Let me say it cleanly.
We
No,
want a
he
yes
does
or no
not
question.
direct. I just said it, priest. Hold on.
You said no? You said
He
no?
direct. Yes, he
Okay,
directly
thank
did
you.
not say.
Thank
No,
you.
he did not
Thank you.
directly
Thank you.
say
Thank you.
this is the
Now,
Sabbath. What he
does
said.
it say fresh in the
Wait, you
Greek?
said you're gonna
Does
let
it
me
say
expound.
fresh?
Priest, deep. You said you're gonna let me expound. Let me expound.
I
We
already know you're gonna
read
say it's
wait,
fresh bread.
hold on. Let's compare. Wait, let's compare translations because you guys respect different translations. I do too. This in the MSG gives you a clearer understanding because we know that the bread is cooked every Sabbath day because Christ said, "Have y'all not read?" Right? Let me read it again. That the law of the priests carry out their temple duties to break the Sabbath rule. One of those rules that they break is that they cook on the Sabbath. They cook the bread. When when David entered into the sanctuary, it says he ate fresh bread off the altar. Let me ask you a question. Is fresh bread off the altar, is that new bread?
Let me answer that for you. If it says
Wait, yes
fresh,
or
it
no?
doesn't.
Yes or no? Is that fresh bread off the altar?
No,
Yes or no? It's not.
no. Now
Okay,
let
so
me expound.
fresh bread off the altar
Now
is
let me.
not. Okay.
No. Now
Okay,
let
go
me
ahead.
expound. For one, fresh bread doesn't mean that it was baked that day. And for two, does the word fresh is the word fresh in the Greek, or is that this Christian's interpretation?
So what does it mean in the Greek?
Is the word fresh in the Greek?
Let's pull it up let's pull
The,
it up because
the,
here's the
the,
problem.
no, it's not
Wait,
in the Greek.
Deacon,
You're
here's
going
the
off the
problem.
translation.
Look, Deacon, let me be real with you, bro. This is the problem. You guys do this when it fits your narrative. For an example, if we pull out something in a different translation, now it's is that in the Greek. But if we show you something that that you integrate your own understanding, for instance, transitional days, we just have to believe you in Leviticus chapter 23 dealing with atonement that that's a transitional day because God said I need to give you a rest day, or that's a Sabbath on the ninth day of the month or the week because you need a rest before your atonement. We just got
Good
to agree
question.
with y'all that that's what it
Good
is.
question.
You
Good
wait, real
question. Let me
quick.
respond.
We just
Good
have to
question. Let me respond.
wait. Hold on. I'm not done. Let me
Let's
finish. I'm a
stay on
land.
point. Let's
So
stay on point
I'm
though.
gonna end it. Wait, hold on, Deep. I'm
You've
gonna
been
end it with
promising.
this
You've been
because
promising you're gonna land your plane all day.
I do
That
gotta
plane is
go.
out of gas.
What
That
we
plane is
see,
out of
what we
gas.
see is hypocrisy. Wait, hold on. What we see is hypocrisy because when it fits you, you're able to do it with the word. But when it doesn't fit your narrative, you have to change the way that you use. It's like teaching somebody that you have to, or showing somebody that you have to fight with your hands behind your back. If I show you in a translation where it says verbatim something, you say, well, no, you got to show me verbatim. You can't show me verbatim what that says. If I ask you to show me something verbatim, it's okay for you to say, I can't show you that verbatim, but it just is what it is. To me, that's hypocrisy. Hassad
Okay, now
and you
watch
have
this.
done
Now watch
that,
this.
dealing with
Now watch
atonement.
this. Now watch this. Now
So,
watch this. Now watch
so
this. This is what show. Let me prove to you that
but I
there's
do
levels
have
to
to
this.
go and preach. Wait,
I'm
real
gonna let
quick. You
I'm gonna
said
let
you
you lead
wasn't
on
gonna
this.
jump me.
I
Wait,
know.
you
I
said
know.
you wasn't gonna jump me either.
No, but that was something that you were talking to me about. The Hassan's not even jumping in on this,
I've
so
been on
that's
mute
good.
for like 10 or
No,
15
no,
minutes.
I'm just
No,
joking,
but
y'all.
look,
It's okay.
let me
I'm
say
trying to
this.
make
Just
Let me
light.
taking
say this.
turns. We just taking turns. We get some big man.
Now look, Rata has a fair point. He's saying, why are you shaming my translation when you guys use different translations? Right? That's a fair point. But here's the thing, Rata. We do due diligence to make sure the translation actually reflects the ancient manuscripts. And that's what you don't do. So that's why I say there's levels to this.
Okay.
You mentioned, hold on, let me finish.
So can you
You
prove? Wait,
mentioned,
hold on. Okay,
let me
wait,
finish.
Deacon. So can you
Let me
prove?
finish. Let me
Okay,
finish.
okay.
And then you
Y'all heard
mentioned
that, right? Okay.
transitional days. You mentioned transitional days. Nobody went to another translation to show transitional days. every translation by definition is interpretation. Shout out to the elder who taught me that. Every translation by definition is interpretation. That's why you got to make sure it reflects the ancient manuscripts. Go
Okay,
ahead, brother.
so I'll end with this. So Deacon admitted, yes, I have to admit what Rata said is a true point. But
No. I
he
said a
followed up
good
by saying,
point.
but you said
I didn't. I
right,
said
but you said we
a good
verified. Okay,
question.
got you.
I said you got a good
I
question.
got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. But you said, but you verify y'all information with outside sources and other extra biblical references, correct?
No, I didn't say that. Are you listening? Did you just come from
Wait,
church today?
wait, wait, listen,
Because
priest.
I
How
said
do you
we
verify? Wait, what's the
verified
difference? Go ahead.
translations. I said we verified translations with the ancient manuscripts. That's what I said.
Oh, got you. Okay, got you. Slovakia. Ancient, it still fits the same with ancient manuscripts. Can you provide me any ancient manuscript that reads that Passover and unleavened bread are on two separate days, in the sense
Yeah.
of that they kept it on two separate days verbatim in any
Yes.
ancient
Yes.
For the
manuscript?
Yes,
Masoretic
we
Can
text.
we
can.
see
For the
that?
Masoretic
Yes,
text.
we can. Do you know what the?
Excuse me. That wait, listen.
Oh, he
That the
want to add
Pharisees,
more.
listen. That the Pharisees and the different sects keep their Passover on different days. Do we have any of that clearly in the text?
Yeah, the text
Yes.
is
Clearly.
the text is
Yes.
receptus in John 18 tells us clearly.
Also, the Masoretic text that on Numbers 28, bro.
Yep.
Like we really do this, Rata. You told me when we
I gotta
started this
verify.
debate. Hold on, let me tell you this. You told me when we started this debate that I was in a debate league at high school. Nigga, this is the big league. This is not high school. You understand that?
Hey, look, let me show you something. Let me say this. Hey, look, at the end, hey, look, I'm gonna say this. At the end of the day, you know, I respect you. I respect Asad. I respect y'all brothers. I don't see the scriptures the way you see it. I don't think it's fair that you could switch narratives when you want. I don't. But at the end of the day, it's still brotherhood over doctrine. I get it. And I don't want to cause no contention. So we don't cause no contention. It's no contention. I'm gonna just put that out there. I do gotta go though, because I've been on for like 2 hours and it was a great build and I respect it. So
Well,
much love to
listen.
y'all. And
We're not
yeah,
the niggas. We would never say, and I want to put this for the record. We would never say that Rata ran. Even if the nigga had to go after 2 minutes, we would never say the nigga ran because he's the only camp leader who's gonna come have these conversations, period. So we love you, brother, and safe travels to you, King.
Shalom, King. Yahweh speak.
hey,
Oh, oops.
Man,
His thing turned off. I thought he was done. Oh man.
You gonna cut the brother off like that? Hey,
Man.
Rata, that wasn't me that time, man. That was Hassan that time. But all love, safe travels.
Priest, listen, we issued this challenge to several camp leaders who I spoke to personally, and I could start naming names.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I don't. You know what? Actually, I'll do one. Now I'll pause. Shalpar, you said you were supposed to get on the live stream and talk about it. Where were you at? Now, this is not no diss to HOI. We're not against rap. We're not against rappers.
The link is still in the chat. Listen,
right.
HOI could possibly redeem themselves. The link is still in the chat. Man, let's just name names, bro. Zariak turned it down. Naquam turned it down. Joel turned it down. HOI turned it down. Chief Ephraim turned it down. Everybody turned it down. Let's just name names. We're not, listen, that don't mean hate the brothers. That don't mean that, hey, that don't even mean we're right. I'm just saying niggas turned it down.
Can I ask you a question? Did you guys offer the debate to brother Christian Corey?
Me and Corey talked about it afterwards because he said that everybody is saying that he would probably be the best candidate for it. But so I actually said that you and Corey need to have the debate.
That'll be interesting because I hit him up during the debate and I was like, bro, I said, bro, I know your man's is getting washed right now, and he hit me with the eye emojis, and I saw him laughing on the screen when he saw the text. So I hit him up afterwards. I said, "You ready to switch to Lunar or no?" He said, "Well, why would I? When I can answer every question and every source clean." I was like, "Okay." So I'm like, "Well, why didn't you take the debate?" You know what I
Hey,
mean?
listen, everything looks easy on the outside looking in, man, until you get in there. And I want to say this too. Y'all. Them brothers at BOW, they had like they landed 2 punches. So what's the CompuBox numbers aside? Like
We're talking about.
one, like 500 out of 500 body blows, they landed one. Out of 500 headshots, they landed one. So at a 2% CompuBox numbers, they did land 2 clean punches. I'm not gonna lie, but that's what happens in the debate. You have to put your jaw out there to see if you got Chinsylvania. You got to make sure you have Cincinnati, because in a debate, you're giving brothers action at your jaw. And if it can withstand the test of the sword, then you understand that you have sound doctrine. And if it doesn't, guess what? That doesn't disprove your doctrine. That says, ooh, we got to be prepared for that angle. And that was a good angle. You know what I mean? So yeah, they had a couple good points for sure. Shout out to them brothers. But yeah, you guys can ask questions in the chat, or you could click the link as well. I don't know how much longer Hassad wants to stay on here, but oh my God, Hassad, bro. That fine linen, man. I was laying in bed. I had to jump out of bed, hop up out the bed.
Oh,
I had the soldier boy. No, Hassad was on here like a professional swimmer, the way he was punching.
Yo, I just want to say something real quick. The good brother Ratazan says that the Passover is a Shabbat one. That's not in the Torah. There's no book, chapter, verse that even remotely alludes to the Passover being a Shabbat one. It's not. Even with the Shabbat one, you're not allowed to buy and sell on a Shabbat one. The only thing you're allowed to do is cook. So if the Passover is a Shabbat one and Joseph of Arimathea purchased linen on the Shabbat one, he would be breaking the law.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was really bad. And let's not talk about that Daniel 9. That was horrible, to say the least. Yikes. But yeah, I wanted to just to show Israel like the transitional days, like in the Hebrew language, right? Because we call ourselves Hebrew Israelites, but the vast majority of us do not understand Hebrew and don't even study the Hebrew whatsoever. So to the point when Hassad was bringing out that, let me see if I can share my screen real quick.
You got that song stuck in my head now. Praise. I turn my swag on.
Ariella, you got some smoke right here. You got some smoke from Prince Israel, whoever that is.
No. That's a good point. That's a good point. Ariel, I mean, the weekly Sabbath is called a Shabbat one in Exodus 16. Exactly. So they try to make that like it's a super big distinction.
Well, and that's very easy. That's very easy work, right? But let me I'll address that. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20.
Real quick, Ariella. Prince of Israel, your next comment, can you clarify like what you want us to address here? Because I don't know if you and Ariella had a prior conversation or something, but let your next question be more clear.
Point. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong though.
No, I don't. He's not with. He's not with us.
Right.
He went out
outside. He
went from amongst us.
So let's go here real quick, right? So Leviticus chapter 23, and all right, so we got the Day of Atonement, right? So when we look at the word Shabbat one, it's defined as a special Sabbath, right? It's also defined as rest. It's translated as rest, right? As well. So let's take a look at Leviticus chapter 23, and I'll just get to the point, right? 32 it says, and it shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. Ye shall afflict your souls, right? And then it says, in the ninth day of the month, at even, from evening to evening, ye shall celebrate your Sabbath, right? So I just want to highlight the phrase celebrate your Sabbath, right? Tha Shabbathwa, right? Shabbath come, right? What does that mean? Let's show you, right? So when you go onto Blue Letter Bible, right, and you click into the interlinear, at the top you can see what's called the Masoretic text. Right, you can remove or add the cancellation marks or the vowel points. I haven't removed, right, because it's irrelevant to me. So when we're looking here, right, at the end of the phrase, right, it says thy Shabbath, which means thou shalt observe or thou shalt rest your Sabbath, right? So it says Shabbath come, right? So Shabbath is the noun, right? The noun root, which is the word for Sabbath, right? A normal Sabbath, right? And then at the end it has come, right? K-A-M, right? This is a pronominal suffix denoting possession, right? In the second person masculine plural, because it's being spoken to multiple people, right? And of course, the Hebrew language is a male dominant language. So we're literally being told in the Hebrew language, which the vast majority of our brothers and sisters, right, who profess to be Hebrew Israelites and who keep a Friday to Saturday Shabbat, right, they just do not study the Hebrew language. It's just a fact, right? This is literally saying that you keep your Sabbath on the 9th day of the month, in the 7th month, verbatim. Now, a point was brought up. Oh, can you show me another witness? Well, can you show me another witness to Deuteronomy 28 and 68? Can you show me another witness to Deuteronomy 17, verse 15 through 17? There's no other witness to that. It's just that one law in regards to what a king is not allowed to do. So that's not even a good point. In the actual text, in the Hebrew, it tells you that you celebrate your Sabbath in the 9th day. Just that simple. Now, let's see. So just to also, we'll address what the brother Prince of Israel had asked about Exodus 16 and 23. Right? Am I sharing my screen? Let me share it again. All right. So here is Exodus chapter 16, verse 23. It says, and he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest. Tomorrow is the rest. Notice how when I hovered my mouse over rest, we had that word Shabbath on, because that word means rest. It says the rest of the what? Of the holy Kodash Shabbath. Shabbath Kodash. So the Sabbath, the normal Sabbath, is a Shabbath. Very, very simple. When we're looking at special high holy days, like the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, like the first day of Tabernacles, like the Feast of Trumpets, right? Like the Feast of First Fruits. These are called Shabbath Wan, right? And on a Shabbath Wan, you cannot buy or sell. You cannot engage in commerce. You cannot do servile work, right? But you can do what's in pertaining to that particular feast day. Very, very simple to understand. Oh, snap. I wasn't even showing it. Salakia. Let me try it one more time. Share screen. Here we go. Hassad or Deacon, y'all would have to add it to the screen for me. Prince of Israel. I just spoke to that word being used in that verse. It means rest. It's translated as rest. The word Shabbat means rest. Simple.
My bad, y'all. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah. Add my
screen. My bad.
Yeah.
No, I had to go get my car looked at, man. I needed. Listen, it's the middle of the summer, y'all. It's 95 degrees in North Carolina, and guess whose air conditioning stopped working 3 days ago? Ha!
Dang.
Yep.
Con. All right. So just so I can reiterate this again, right, and show it to you guys, right? So when we're looking here at Exodus 16 and 23, as the brother Prince of Israel asked about, right? He's been asking about this the entire live, right? It says, and he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest. Shabbathwan is rest. It says of the holy Sabbath. The word for Sabbath is Shabbath, right? The word for holy, Kodash, the holy Sabbath. The regular Sabbath, which you will call your weekly Sabbath, is a Shabbath. It's not a Shabbathwan. So I would love if brothers would stop trying to use that as a point, right? Furthermore, when we looked at Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 32, right? Let's go there again. 23 and 32. Let's look at it again. Right? We're told in the ninth day, right? In the ninth day, Shaiha, right? Day, right? Lacham, Lachadash, right? Of the month, at even, from evening to evening, ye shall celebrate, right? Shabbath, your Sabbath, Shabbath Kam. You celebrate your Sabbath on the ninth day in the seventh month because it's a special month, right? It's a special month with special feast days. Very, very simple and easy to understand.
All praises to the Most High. You see, but it's good to be able to, have, like even Radazan said, so you don't have another witness for that? Well, there goes another one right there. Okay, this I know I called him an old fool earlier. So Grandpa here, he says, I've been asking for Luke 22 verse 1 breakdown for like 30 minutes. I give up. What's the breakdown? We already explained this earlier. Luke 22 and 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. In post-exilic Israel, we group these things together, Passover and the feast of unleavened bread. When you read throughout the entirety of the Bible, Numbers 28, 2 Chronicles 35, Ezra, I believe 6 or Ezra 9, we kept those days separately. But and again, in post-exilic Israel, after Babylon and the temple was destroyed, the scrolls were burned, then we started conflating these two things and bringing them together. Doesn't prove your point because the whole rest of the Bible doesn't say that. So I don't know if you didn't hear that the first time. Hopefully the second time you'll get it. And pretty simple. Again, just for anybody that didn't hear it the first time, Numbers 28, and look what it says. In verse 16, in the 14th day of the month is Passover. In verse 17, in the 15th day of the month is the feast of unleavened bread. 14 is not the same as 15. 15 is not the same as 14. Let's just get another one. I mean, that should be fine.
Okay. So to that point, to land back, right? When we look at pre-exilic Israel, right, we had Abib as the name of our first month, right? Post-exilic Israel, we see the name Nisan, right? We have very few examples in the text, and one could even argue that it might even be a little post-exilic, right? But we can see examples of names of months, right, in the text. And then when we go into Babylon and we come back to the land, we're now calling the names of our months after the Babylonian naming convention. For instance, the fourth month, all right, the fourth Hebrew month post-exilic is named Tammuz, which is a pagan deity. So there's a lot of stuff that we were doing post coming out of Babylon that was off, that was wrong, right? Hence why the Most High God caused the oblations and the sacrifices to cease and kicked us out of the land because we were not doing things properly. Yeah, and we weren't even keeping the Feast of Tabernacles.
Listen, perfect point. Again, from the time of, I think it says Joshua all the way until Ezra and Nehemiah. Ezra and Nehemiah were the first ones to keep the Feast of Tabernacles since Joshua. That's the generation after the Exodus. Well, that's actually the generation of the Exodus.
Yeah.
And as we illustrated earlier, put a one in the chat if you clearly understood that Christ kept a different Passover than some of the rest of the Israelites in John chapter 18, verse 28. I was really trying to, because I know sometimes during the heated discussions and stuff like that, but even this last conversation I had with Radazan was not a heated discussion. I truly don't understand how he didn't see that. Okay, so now we got, I don't even hate stupid questions that much anymore. Now I'll answer it just for fun. Break down Mark 16:1 down in the NLT, good sir. The point of him asking that, everybody, and I'll just read it in the NLT because I know he thinks he's got something. I've been doing this for a while, you guys. So you don't think, this is my first rodeo. In Mark 16:1, In the NLT, watch. Let's see how well this is going to work for you. Saturday evening when the Sabbath ended. Ha ha, see, it says Saturday. Hey, genius, guess what? In the Greek manuscripts, Saturday doesn't exist.
Ever.
So, number one, the NLT is a thought-for-thought translation, not a word-for-word translation, which is why if you go to the actual Greek manuscripts, the word Saturday won't appear there. This is white translators then adding their own thoughts of what the Greek is saying and what it's reflecting. Now, if you're going to take that, well, take this. Romans chapter 4, verse 15 in the NLT. Look at this. Romans 4 and 15 in the NLT. I guess we got to go with everything, right? For the law always brings punishment on those who try to obey it. The only way to avoid breaking the law is to have no law to break. You agree with that? Hey, Spirit Guys 111. Hey, please, good sir. Do you agree with that? We should just the only way to avoid breaking the law is just get rid of it all to begin with. Or to
just don't do it. Don't even attempt to do
don't
it.
even attempt to keep the law. Do you agree with that, my good man? Huh?
So Hassad, to another point, right? When Ratazan went to the MSG, right, the Message Bible, right, and when you look up the Message Bible, right, this is the translation type, right? It's extreme paraphrase and dynamic interpretation. So you have what's called dynamic equivalence versus formal equivalence when it comes to the style of which a translation is translated, like the methodology, right? For instance, the KJV is a formal equivalent, right? Formal means like proper, right? Equivalence means equal. So it's a word for word translation as opposed to, let's say, an NLT, right? I think even like the GNT, they're thought for thought translation, right? Or dynamic equivalence. Well, this one specifically, the Message Bible, where Ratazan went to, right? And he brought out that precept, and it just was like, it lined up with his understanding, with his doctrine, right? Its translation style is an extreme paraphrase and dynamic interpretive. That's not a proper translation. If you go into the Greek manuscript, none of those words, like that word fresh, does not appear in that text, in that verse that he went to. It just does not.
But guess what? Hebrew Israelites, half of our community just hate logic. And so they don't care. Everything you just said went right out the next year. So it is what it is. I got a little cookout I'm finna head to. Before I do, if you got anything to promote, make sure you got it ready, Ariella. Listen, y'all, I just got a fresh batch of mezuzahs, so I still got a bunch of these left. If for anyone that's interested, they're $25. That covers shipping. All right. In Deuteronomy 6, it tells, I got it written right here, that we have to write the laws upon the posts of our house and our gates. So that way, when you walk in the crib, you're reminded of the commandments. When you walk out the crib, you're reminded of the commandments. Ariella copped them some. Everyone who's copped some said, listen, and you can drop it on the ground. It won't break. All you got to do is put a thumbtack right here. All praise to the Most High.
I have over 4. I have one literally for every single door in my house. I have one for my closet doors. So definitely tapping with the brother with the mezuzahs, man. Keep the law of God. What I would say is you could definitely make your way over to HIBofficialZion.com, right? HIBofficialZion.com. Use code WW3 at checkout for $25 off, right? For a limited time, right? You don't have a copy of the HIB, right? The Hebrew Israelite Bible, right? Restores the name of the Most High God, right? In the Paleo font, right? It has the names of persons, places, and things in the Lashawan Kodash, right? Listen, raving reviews. All praise to the Most High. Brother asked, are you doing Paleo Hebrew vids? I'm gonna have to do some fresh Hebrew videos because a lot of people have been asking for it, asking where I learned and like where to start. So I'll do a couple Hebrew 101 videos, Lord willing, in the future. But yeah, make your way over to HIBofficialZion.com. Get yourself a copy of the Hebrew Israelite Bible.
All praise the Most High. And if anybody wants to reach out, how to contact me, listen, at Brother Hassad on all social media platforms, or you can hit my email. Here's my email on the screen, Hassad, HASAD, Mezuzah, MEZUZAH @gmail.com. And all praise to the Most High, everybody. Shout out to Ratazan. Shout out to Priest. Shout out to Ariella. Most importantly, shout out to the Most High. Make sure y'all keep the commandments of the Most High. Believe in the Messiah. And you can clearly see we're almost out of here. So keep enduring, family, and shalom.
Shalom, family.